The Alchemortis development continues. So again, I'm working towards... Hold on a second. Go on, cat. Go on. Go. Oh my god. Okay. Come here. If you're gonna be annoying, then come here. Ah! Here's a little stinker. As soon as I start the stream, he starts acting up. What do you want? What do you want? Okay. All right. Anyway, so Alchemortis development continues. We are going to work some more on getting a playtest build ready. So I'll be shadow dropping the playtest. So you're gonna be on your toes, I guess. I'll shadow drop the playtest, so I'll just announce the playtest the day that it goes live for Patreon members. So firstly, you can wishlist Alchemortis on Steam. I would appreciate that, but as I said with the playtest, Patreon members will get access to the playtest first for 1 week. So if you join at either tier here, you will get access when the playtest is live. And if you subscribe to the top tier here for at least 1 month, I will send you an Alchemortis Steam key for the full game when the game launches. So you won't need to buy it on Steam. So not only does that give you access to the playtest that's going to be running, then you'll also get the full game and your name will be listed in the credits. So definitely check that out. But you can also just subscribe to this lower tier if you just want playtest access. And what else? So yeah, you don't need to subscribe on Patreon though to get access to the playtest. If you want to try the game will be available for public playtesting after the Patreon early access period. So you don't have to pay anything to get access to the playtest version of the game. So if you'd rather wait, you can definitely do that. That's totally fine. And also, I have my Udemy courses. These will teach you how to build complete games in the Godot engine. It's a great way to support me as well. I'm entirely self-funded at the moment, so every little bit helps. All right, let's get into it. Hello, Clickertail, welcome. Woobius, hello. Welcome, welcome. Future Proof, welcome back. Cat, yeah. Hello, Firebelly. Just finished your co-op course on Udemy. Huge thanks, mate. Was really good. Well-paced, super informative. Awesome, thank you. I'm glad you like it. Glad you like it. Hello, Mark. Welcome back. That's one I just finished, the multiplayer course. Yeah, that's cool. Multiplayer is an interesting thing. Like it requires a very different way of thinking about making your games, but I also think it's not terribly difficult. Like once you've got the hang of like how to think about the problems, it becomes pretty straightforward actually. The main headaches with Godot is like there's a bunch of weird situations that arise where you're gonna have to work around it, which we did in a couple spots in the course, but I would love to see the Godot developers focus more on like the multiplayer functionality. I think that it could be made a lot better. I don't know how, but I have a feeling, I have a sneaking suspicion it could be better than it is currently, but that's all right. Okay. The one thing that I'm interested in doing today is adding progress values to unlocks. So for any unlock that has a number associated with it, I just want to be able to show like what your progress is. So if you require 20,000 stacks of poison, showing like, you know, you have 11,000 out of 20,000 or something like that. So that's what we're going to do. But first, what should there was something I was going to show you. So I did a couple of new things last night. I was very productive last night. I fixed some obelisk grow board stuff. So previously the grow board event of the obelisk would give you 2 board growths. That was a little bit too overpowered, so I just removed like the extra board growth. So you could still get a board growth node from the obelisk rarely, but you won't get two out of it. I redrew the telescope. So the telescope was pretty ugly before. So we get to add artifact telescope. And I've also renamed it. So this is the spyglass now. So it used to be this really ugly like green little telescope thing. So I renamed that and I redrew it. It functions exactly the same. I think it just looks a little bit better. So there we go. What else? I updated the health globes. So if you look down here, so the health globe glass is a lot thicker now. I shaded it a little bit better as well. And then the actual like filled portion is powered by a shader now. So, well, the other version was powered by a shader as well, but the other version was just like a texture that I drew that was just scrolled. So this one is a lot nicer because it's just using a noise value to set the waves in here. Oh, of course, the ad pops up. You can't see it that well. But anyway, so we've got a nice, better liquid shader here. I made the glass thicker, and then I also added this shadow on either side of the health globe, which I think helps. I think it gives it a little bit more depth. So, yeah, I think it looks better. And it also has these little highlights, so I don't know if you see like the orange line going across the crest of the waves there. But that is that's borrowed basically straight from the Alchemy shader here. So yeah, I think it's looking good. It looks a little bit more refined now, which I like. So yeah, anyway, this is the kind of thing that I'm going to be doing as we get closer to release. Like, there's a bunch of places in the game where I really want to spend some time cleaning up the visuals and like making the visuals stronger, prettier to look at. But, you know, I've been so focused on doing other things that it's not really good time to spend time on that kind of stuff. But with the game getting more and more solidified as the weeks go by, I'm finding it more appealing or more productive or more useful to start going in and polishing a lot of these things. The other thing that I did last night too is I redrew the ancient coin. So the ancient coin used to be like, it almost looked like a mirror, which was pretty terrible. So I redrew this. This looks a little bit nicer now. I don't know if it looks like a coin very much, but it at least looks more visually pleasing than the previous one. So that's the bare minimum standard, is at least it's visually pleasing, even if it doesn't look like what I'm trying to draw. Multiplayer is just something you need to think of at the start of the project. Yeah, that's true. Hello, Bird for the win. I guess it depends on the size of the project, because my first real attempt at multiplayer was I took a jam game that I made, and I made it multiplayer, which was relatively straightforward. I mean, I think it took like a week for me to port it to multiplayer. But yeah, large chunks of the game code had to be rewritten. But it also didn't take that long because it was only a game that was made in 72 hours or 48 hours or whatever to begin with. So there just wasn't that much code. It was a good exercise, so I would recommend that too. Like if you want to get into multiplayer, maybe take a jam game that you've made before and try to just add multiplayer support to it. It's not that much work to rewrite the code, and you get a good feel for like what does an actual game with multiplayer look like. My background is web application and mobile development. Found Godot kind of similar to React in a way. Oh, interesting. I also come from a web development background, but I don't know if I've ever felt like Godot was kind of like React. But hello, Mel's. Hello, Doc Rockman. Welcome. Good to see you. Mechanics that make the health swirl faster would be neat with this shader. Yeah, for sure. Do you need to understand C and C++ to write shaders in Godot? You do not, no. Here, I'll show you what this shader looks like. So yeah, this is what a shader basically looks like. It's its own language essentially. Godot's shading language is special. It's GDSL, Godot shading language, but it's very, very closely matched up to like what is it? GLSL? Yeah, GLSL. So anyway, the whole point of a shader is you can modify the vertices, you can modify the color of the final output color of the pixel with a shader. A shader is basically like, here's all the data about the thing that we're drawing to the screen, and your shader code is providing the instructions for how to draw it, is kind of the way of thinking about it. So technically, everything that gets drawn to the screen has a shader. So even when you don't write a custom shader, there's a shader that runs that tells the GPU how to display this thing on the screen. So like even when you're just using a Sprite 2D, that's ultimately going to be drawn by a shader under the hood, which basically just it samples the texture that you've put in. So sampling the texture means just pulling colors out of the texture at certain coordinate points, right? And just putting those on the screen. But you can write custom shaders to change how that process goes. So anyway, I'm not going to go into a whole deep dive on shaders, but yeah, it's basically just a small little program that tells the computer how to display what you want to display based on the input data. So it's all data. It's data all the way down. Anyway, that's a crash introduction on shaders. Also, the shaders are more optimized because they're directly connected to GPU. The GPU runs the shader, so it slams all the pixels through the shader code. Yeah. Yep. Shaders are nice too for getting around certain issues with Godot. So if I look at my health globe, previously what I was doing is I had a mask. I had a sprite here that had a clip mode of mask, and that was previously the thing that was masking the shader to keep it within the bounds of this globe. Because like a texture has to be, you know, a quadrilateral, right? Typically a square. And here's what my like mask looks like now, this mask texture. So the white part here, this is the inner part of the health globe, and then the black is like all of this outside part. So anywhere that's black in the mask is just a forced transparent pixel. And anything that's white can either be transparent depending on like where the wave is, or it will be one of the wave colors, right? Either the highlight color or the solid color or the shadow color. But previously, the way I was achieving this is I had a texture like this, but it was set on a Sprite 2D that was set to clip. And the problem with things like that is that Godot doesn't allow you to do like multiple levels of clipping, and it also will not work well with a canvas group. So like canvas groups do not work with any descendants that have like any clip modes beyond the default set. Cat, can you stop? Azir. Azir, what are you doing? They fight over the vent because it's cold, and so the vent turns on and they're like, ooh, I want the best spot. Come here. Come here. Why are you fighting? Why are you fighting? So anyway, so writing shaders to do masking in a lot of cases is a great way of getting around Godot's restrictions around like clipping and whatnot. Because what I could do is I can add a canvas group now to this flow background, flow foreground. And that clipping is preserved because that masking is done as part of the shader. It's not done through any particular Godot setting. So yeah, generally like shaders are a very good way of like consolidating visual effects in a nice way so that you can then go and like apply more visual effects to them. So I'm using shaders in quite a few places to get around those kinds of Godot restrictions where you can't like have clipping as descendants of canvas groups and whatnot. Good luck with the game. Just wanted to drop by and say thanks for the course. Later is all. Good luck on your game making adventures. All right. Thank you, Future Proof. Thanks for joining. Hope to see you in the next one. I watched a short about clipping sprites in different parts so you can animate them separately. I think it's such a good idea. Yeah, that's how I'm doing my animations. You know? I mean, I applied it here with the Lich and with all the other characters. This goes to my Firebelly Tips YouTube links emporium. There you go. Could 3D print a splitter for your vent so there are 2 places to lie down? Yeah, well, the problem is... Yeah, maybe that would work. The problem is, like, the heat doesn't come out evenly from the vent. There's, like, one side of the vent that, like, is hotter air. I don't know, something about the airflow, just, like... The left side of the vent is where the highest concentration of heat is, and the right side of the vent is not, so they fight over the left side. So the splitter would have to be, like, on the left side and then split that. I don't know, it's weird. Because if it was just, like, an even distribution, then they wouldn't fight over it, right? But there's a very obviously, like, warmer spot. Anyway. Bi-weekly check-in. Any progress on the romance storyline? No. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Ungi Bungi. I have so much to do. I might have to cut the romance. I might have to cut the romance options from the game. The air is getting turned by a 90 before it gets to the outlet. Yeah, maybe. I don't know anything about central heating. So all I know is that air warmer on left. Anyway, so the unlock progress is something that I wanted to do. Oh, this is a mess. Artifact. Okay, so we've got the title label, unlock condition label. Let me take a look at my unlocks screen first. Okay, so unlocks. So here, upgrade 50 items to tier 5. I would maybe put... Yeah, see, the problem is this is so wide. I was thinking I could put the progress value up here somewhere. But I might just put the progress value... Here's what I could do. I guess I could just do another line. I could do another line. So unlocked by reaching 100 bleed stacks in a single combat encounter. So this also needs to be somewhat of a generic implementation. Because like for this one, I might want to say like highest bleed stacks applied 90, right? But then for this one, unlocked by purchasing 50 items for the shop, I would do something like 5 out of 50 items purchased, right? So I need, each unlock item is going to need to define like what the language should be and how it's going to be formatted, as well as providing the logic for how to display the progress. But I think I'll just do another line because I'm realizing that the artifact description and the unlock condition are preserved when you've unlocked it. So you know what you did to unlock it, and then their artifact description is here when it becomes unlocked so you can see what it actually does. So I was worried about cluttering this up too much, but I think what I'll do is when you've unlocked it, I obviously don't need to show the progress anymore. So when you have it unlocked, that progress line will go away. And when it's locked, it will contain a progress line if it has a specific unlock condition. Okay. All right, so I think that will work. So we've got the unlock condition label. Let's do a duplicate here. This would be unlock progress label. So there's our unlock progress label. Let's go ahead and just get a reference to that real quick. Now I'm wondering how on earth can you add any romance to this game? Yeah. It's just a meme. I mean, if you take like necromancer and you cut off like the beginning and the last letter, you've got romance, right? But that's about the extent of the romance we're gonna have in this game. Hello, Snupbill. Thank you for the IDR 10,000. That's always appreciated. Always very generous. Thank you, thank you. With the message, yummers. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Hello, Ninja Link. Good morning to you. What fonts are you using? I am using a font that is not available anywhere else because it was made special for me, which is kind of true. I told this font story before, but I'm using a font which is called Soft Square 2. Soft Square 2 is an extended version of Chevy Ray's Soft Square. So the whole so I got this font from a font pack, right? Soft Square. And I got it a while ago. This font, this Soft Square font, did not have any of the special characters, like the accented characters for the other Latin languages. And it was no longer available for download anywhere. So I got this from like a bundle, an asset bundle or something, because it's not available from Chevy Ray, who is the font artist. And so what I did is I said, hey, I've been using this font for a long time, but it doesn't have the special characters for like non-English languages, right? So I emailed him and I said, I would appreciate it. I'll pay you to extend this font set for me because like I can't find a replacement font. I like this one too much. And then Chevy Ray got back to me and said, hey, here's the updated font with all the things, all the special characters. And then Chevy Ray also published a new version of the font called Super Soft, which is like slightly different. So he gave me Soft Square 2, which is the original Soft Square font with all the special characters. And then the one that he made public is Super Soft, which is actually slightly different in terms of its style. Like the characters are actually slightly different than the original Soft Square font. So as far as I know, me and Chevy Ray are the only ones on Earth who have this Soft Square 2 font. It's like a very, very particular version of the font. Anyway, but Super Soft is similar enough. So if you go to Chevy Ray and you look for Super Soft on his itch page, you'll find basically, it's basically the same font. It's just some of the characters are drawn a little bit differently. Whereas this Soft Square 2 is the same exact font with just the special characters. So yeah, that's the fun story about the font in this game. You've ordered food like 3 times in 6 hours of no driver delivery available. Now dying of hunger. Oh, I'm sorry. 1. Valentine's bundle contains succubus. Oh, I don't know how I'd never thought to do succubus. I'll write these down. That's a good idea. How did I never think to do a succubus? Me and my BF are the only ones in the entire world that has a font that I made. There you go. Won't that font be extracted when the users reverse engineer your game? Yeah, yeah. I mean, technically, when the game just gets distributed, everyone who downloads the game will have a copy of the font for sure, but I'm not interested in like the exclusivity or anything. I mean, it's just a fun little thing to think about. Anyway, also, yeah, I don't know. So anyway, we got to get this unlock progress label going. So let's do public virtual string get unlock progress description, or turn null out of there. Okay. Oh, shoot. I'm going to need to pass in unlock check context. Interesting. Well, let's just write this with the expectation that I have this unlock check context here. Trying to think of how to do this in a very clean way. Because what I'm basically going to have to do, I think, is for this artifact cloak, I can do public override string get unlock progress description. And what I would need to do, well, for this one, it's going to be easy because, so basically, there's a weird situation here, which is that whatever statistics are being logged during your run are segmented away from the permanent statistics. And then whenever a run ends, those run statistics are merged into the permanent statistics. And the unlock check here, this check condition, which determines whether the thing has been unlocked, that works off the permanent statistics, which is fine. And the reason they're split in the first place is because I need to be able to display the statistics for only that run to the player. Because obviously, like, if I wanted to show the player how much damage they dealt at the end of a run, I don't want to show them all the damage that they've dealt across all runs. Like, that's just obvious, right? So the run statistics object is separate for the run and gets merged into the larger run statistics, like the total run statistics. And it's the same data structure and everything. It's just I isolate the in-progress statistics from the permanent statistics. The problem is, as you're in a run, I probably want to show the upgrade, or the unlock progress with the permanent statistics plus the run statistics, assuming that it's going to be additive. So I need to pass that information into here. The other thing that's going to need to happen is this is going to need to be translatable. So maybe I should build it with translations in mind. Let's do this. Public record unlock progress. Public func unlock check context string description template func public func object description parameters func, something like that. This will return an unlock progress. Okay. So in here, this needs to be unlock progress. Return new unlock progress. Description parameters func. How do I want to do this? Get unlock progress configuration. Oh, that's so annoying. Why are you doing that? Okay, and then this would be the context. And then here, I could do that, and then description. Oh. Description parameters func. This would be whatever. Just put 0 and then runs required here. Okay, so we return this one. So this would be context.globalstatistics.getTotalRuns1. So var runs 1. Wait a minute. I'm doing this wrong. We'll figure it out eventually. Okay, this just needs to be a string. So this would be 0 out of 1 runs 1, something like that. And then we would pass in the context globalstatistics.getRuns1. Okay. So that makes sense. Now the problem is I got to figure out how to actually get this to work. Configure unlock progress. We'll pass in a base unlock. Get unlock progress configuration. If unlock progress is equal to null, we will set unlock progress label.visible is equal to false. Return unlock progress label. Dot text is equal to string.format. This is not yet supporting translation, so I'll have to do this later. But this would be unlock progress description template func. And then unlock progress dot description parameters func. Now this is where I'm going to need to get that unlock check context here. Okay. Unlock check context. Current run statistics is equal to data initializer dot current run statistics. Global statistics is equal to data initializer dot global statistics. What else? Unlock model. Unlock resource. Let's see. Is this unlock resource ever used? Okay. So I actually don't need this part. Unlock resource dot unlock instance. Okay, then the unlock resource would be the unlock resource here. Okay, and then we pass in the check context here. Well, I have no idea if that's going to work, but we can just call this now. So if it's not unlocked, we do configure unlock progress. If not is unlocked, configure. Oh my gosh, I can't type. Oh my gosh, I can't type. Configure unlock progress, unlock definition. If not is artifact unlocked, configure unlock progress. As unlock condition. I guess I'll just pass in the artifact unlock resource there. I think this is going to break. Let me see. I think set artifact is called in a couple of places. Is it? I don't know why this is so weird here, but let's just... We'll just do a check in here. Put a null check. Why can't I type? Goodness gracious. So I'll just do a null check there. So if the unlock resource comes in null, the unlock progress will be null. All right, anyway, let me just see if that works, I guess, before I go and implement this for everything. Good morning, Emerson. Would be cool if, though, there were more bundles that mix reagents and combat items, like the Fire Applied bundle, unlocking the fire ability, preserve, as well as other items. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. The unlock system, that's one of those things where I'm expecting that to change quite a lot, because it's still relatively early for that kind of a system. So I'm just trying to throw some things in the game for you guys to unlock during the playtest, but probably not going to be... It's probably not going to be the final unlock conditions for sure. What do you think about nesting and spaghetti code? Do you actively avoid nesting too much code, or do you think it doesn't matter too much? Yeah, I mean, I try to make the code readable. Like that's the main thing. The code has to be readable and understandable. And so if nesting in a certain situation makes the code more readable, then do that. And if it makes the code harder to read and understand, then don't do that, right? It's not like I don't really have hard rules about like what I don't and don't do. It's mostly just a matter of like, what is going to make this most understandable? Sometimes I will actually do extra nesting instead of trying to do everything in like a one-shot like condition. So you might have like this weird conditional where you've got like a bunch of double negatives and like you're doing extra checks, and like that can kind of get confusing to understand like what's happening. So sometimes it makes more sense to just like write out the checks one at a time, right? So it's like, okay, the first thing I want to check is this one. So if this, okay, if that passes, then I can do my other checks inside of a nested block, right? Sometimes that ends up being clearer than trying to just be clever and like stuff all the conditions in the first if statement. But other ways to make that clean too is like you can assign your various logic checks to variable names. Instead of just trying to do like the raw check, you take the result of the check and you store it in a Boolean variable, and then you can just like check, you know, each individual one of those like variables in your if check. But yeah, I don't have any like strict rules. Like sometimes nesting is good for readability and sometimes it's bad for readability. And it's like it kind of depends on what the case is, you know what I mean? Show augmented statistic global current run. Pop up the func. I don't know what that means. I liked C# even before, but with you, I've really fallen in love with it. Awesome. Yeah, glad to hear that. How did you start to learn Godot C#? I just learned trial by fire. I was just one of the early adopters of C# and Godot back in the 3.0 alpha days, and so I don't, you know, that was back in 2017 too, so I don't even remember like that much about the learning process. I just remember like there weren't a whole lot of resources available, so I was just like reading the docs and like experimenting myself with how to get things going. But of course the learning continually happens as you're making things. Like even when I learned enough to be able to make a game, there's still like things that I learned along the way, like, oh, here's some pitfalls and I should do this and not this. All that good stuff. Will there ever be multiplayer for Alchemy Mortis, even if it's further down the line? I don't know. Maybe. Okay, well this seems to work. We've got 0 out of 5 runs won. Unfortunately, that was like a little bit of an easy case. There are going to be some items in here that are a lot harder to do. But I think I've got my my formula down at least. So yeah, let's just go and we gotta just do the rest of these, I guess. Data unlock. Okay, artifact coals. Unlocked by reaching fire required fire stacks in a single combat encounter. So this is one of the ones that's gonna be a little bit different. So I'm going to need to do like highest global is equal to, oh, I can't do that here. I need to do this in here. Var highest global is equal to context.global statistics.get total run statistics.get highest maintained status stacks type of fire status. Highest current is equal to context dot global statistics total run statistics, no, context dot current run statistics. Get highest maintained status stacks type of fire status. So this one is going to need to be, let's do this. It's going to be a little bit. What am I doing? Let's just do highest description keywords maintained. Okay, and then in here, we do mathf.max of highest global, highest current. Is that going to work? I may not be as thorough with testing this as I would otherwise be, just because it's going to take forever if I check every unlock condition. But I just want to at least make sure the first couple that I'm doing are accurate. So if I go to my unlocks here and I go to my artifacts, unlocked by reaching 500 fire stacks in a single combat encounter, highest fire maintained, 0. So that needs to be, that keyword needs to be highlighted there. But let me just apply some fire and see if that works. I think it will work, but... So 55 is the highest fire maintained. Go to my unlocks, item or artifacts here. Highest fire maintained 55. Okay, so that's updating. The one thing that I need to do is I just need to go to my unlock item here. And I need to, inside of here, this would be description utils.highlight keywords. Okay. Keep clicking the wrong thing. I think this actually needs to change. Let me think about this. Why is it not working? Hold on a second. Description utils dot format description. I think that's what I need. Format description, unlock progress dot description template, func, and then unlock progress. That, okay. Why does that not work? Oh, progress label. Let me highlight the keywords there. Is that right? There's a bunch of weird things about how like the keyword highlighting works and the translation system and having those format strings, but let's see if this one works. Okay, highest fire maintained. We got it. All right. So we'll call that good. Unfortunately, it looks like I have a lot of these to do, so we'll see if we can just knock these out really quick. Like I said, I'm not going to really put in a lot of effort to testing them, because if they're broken, it's like whatever, you know, it doesn't make a huge deal, and I don't want to spend all day like just testing these. So I'm just going to write the logic in here, maybe just do like a very brief test just to make sure everything looks good. But otherwise, we'll just blow through these and then we can move on to something more fun. So this is the same kind of deal. So unlocked by reaching bleed required bleed stacks in a single combat encounter. So this one would be like, I just put highest bleed maintained. Maybe we'll call this reached instead to be consistent with the language. This would just be type of bleed status. And then we do this. And boom, that one should be done. All right, artifact hammer, upgrade items to tier 5. So this one's gonna be a little bit different. This would be like items upgraded. We've got 0 here. Total run statistics, get counter, unlock counters, or statistics counters dot items upgraded to max tier. This will be highest current context dot current run statistics mathf dot max highest global highest current. Okay, that one should be done. And we just go through all of these. So shouldn't take too long to get that done. But I'm gonna take a quick 3-minute break real quick. And when I come back, we will finish all these and then we'll find something interesting to work on. I was thinking about doing an artifact. An artifact would be fun to add. So yeah, but we gotta get that done first. So I'll be right back in just 3 minutes and we will continue on. All right, I'm back. So we'll see if we can get through this little boring stuff here, and then we can do something fun, some content. So hopefully that will work just fine, but how's everyone's Saturday going? Everyone having a good weekend so far? Give me 1 second here. I cannot wait to get the next version of the playtest into your hands. So very, very much looking forward to that. Hopefully you all enjoy it, but if not, oh well, it can be fixed, right? If you don't enjoy it, it can be fixed. All right, so this one is interesting. Unlocked by heal required in a single run. So I actually don't think I'm storing like highest heal in a single run. So this one is just using the current run statistics. Oh, you know what I just realized? This current run statistics may be null. So I actually need to account for that. So this current run statistics, we'll just do a null check here. Right, because if I access this screen from the main menu, there's not going to be a current run statistics. Actually, where is that being set? Let's see. Data initializer current run statistics. Yeah, maybe. I mean, so there is still a potential that there won't be a current run, but if you have a saved run, it will be reading that, which is a little bit weird, but that's probably all right. Anyway, so I'm not actually storing like what is the highest amount of healing you ever did in a single run. All I'm tracking is like what is the healing that you've done for the current run, and then what's the total healing you've done. So that might be something that's useful to add. Track highest healing done in a single run. Track highest damage type in a single run, and then update immortality elixir unlock text to reflect highest healing done. So I'll do this one later. That's going to require some more statistics works, but going to be even in an hour when my board game buds arrive. Oh, nice. That's a nice way to spend a Saturday. Okay. Description utils description keywords dot capitalize. Description keywords dot we'll just say current healing, I guess. Okay, and we'll just rename this to current run statistics, get total damage dealt, damage type dot heal. It's always so funny to me that healing is considered a damage type, which makes sense, right? Because it's like anything that modifies your health could be considered a damage type. It's just that heal is like negative damage, right? So it's kind of funny how that just works out. Okay, so that one's done. Unlocked by winning runs required runs. So this one should be relatively easy as well. It's basically the same as this one. Actually, now I'm... Let's do this. Is global statistics always going to be available? Data initializer. Yeah, okay. Are you doing anything exciting for the holiday? Working on Alchemortis. So my friend, my best friend of whatever it is, 23 years now, recently had his second child. So we went over to their house yesterday to meet the baby. But that's about it. I don't have any other plans. Except working on Alchemortis. That was always what I did too, like when I was working full time. You know, I only had time to work on games like on the weekends or in the evenings, but whenever a holiday rolled around, most of my holidays would be spent just doing like hobby game dev stuff. But yeah, I forgot Memorial Day is on Monday. Memorial Day is one of those days where I kind of wish I had a full-time job so I could feel the relief of not having to go to work on Monday. You know what I mean? I think that's it. I think I just copy and paste that. Now I'm wondering though here, I might do 0 description keywords dot healing. And then the current here is that, and then the heal required is here. This one, I'll probably do the same thing. 0 out of 1. And I also just realized something. What did I realize? Unlock item. I think I'm not setting the... I'm not setting the unlock progress label dot visible equals false here. So I need to do that. This whole freaking class is a mess here. Is that right? So I've got three different unlock types. Yeah, I think that's right. Okay. I'm working, but my kiddos will be walking the town parade with the Boy Scouts. Oh, very nice. That's fun. Yeah, the town parades. Those are always a nice time. Are you planning to make another game after Alchemortis? Yes. Yes, I am. I mean, I'm gonna do game development for as long as it's feasible. Even if I need to get, like if Alchemortis doesn't do that well, even if I need to get another full-time job, I will still be making games. We'll see. We will see what happens. I actually have an idea for a game that I want to make after Alchemortis already. But we'll see. We'll see. Don't count your chickens before they hatch and all that. Unlocked by purchasing. Purchases required from the shop. So let's do 0 out of purchases completed. This would be purchases required here. And then we need the counter. So we'll just slap that in here, I suppose. Okay, we're almost done. And by almost done, I mean, we're not even halfway there. But hopefully this becomes a little bit easier. Oh, this would be boss souls infused. Let's use alchemize to be consistent. Okay, so that's good. Artifact sapling. Unlocked by visiting visits required reagent events. Reagent. I'm going to rename this to encounters. I need to go through and like standardize my language for what I'm calling this. I think I'm going to call them encounters for sure. All right, so get events visited of type. So put that there. And then this would be visits required. Okay. Unlocked by applying armor. So this one is just like a total armor. So actually this would be more appropriately copied from here. Armor, no. Description keywords, armor, description keywords, dot capitalize, armor applied, get stacks applied of type of shield status, get stacks applied of type, shield status. I think this would actually be different. This one's going to be, let's rename this to global, not glol. Global, please. Thank you. And then current. This one is interesting because it's additive, right? So this one needs to be global plus current. Actually, I should probably use the same. I keep doing this. Let's just do 0 out of 1. Armor applied. And then this would be global plus current and then armor required. Okay. We'll try to be consistent, I suppose. What's the tool you use to organize your to-do list? Hello, Wesley Wang. It's Obsidian with the Kanban plugin. Obsidian, the note-taking app. Unlocked by winning a combat encounter with at least ritual items on the board. Okay, so see, this one's interesting because I'm not actually tracking. Like, every time a combat ends, all it does is it checks the milestone. So a milestone in the unlock system, this is basically like a hyper-specific condition that is not easy to track with like the statistics system. Because like, think about it, if I had to somehow log, like what was your board configuration every time you won a combat, that would fill up the save file quite substantially. Now what I could do is I could just log like how, like I could just have a very specific piece of data for like, what was the highest number of ritual items you had when you won a combat, right? And that would be a more narrow way of storing that. But in this case, like what the milestones are is I bake that condition in. I bake that logic in somewhere, wherever that is. Here. So on combat 1, so anytime combat victory happens, I look at the player board and I count how many of those cards have the ritual tag. And then if it meets the requirement, it adds the milestone, which is basically just a unique string that represents the milestone. But in this case, I don't have any way of actually tracking the progress here because it's just doing a logic check and then adding or not adding the milestone based on what happens. So I don't really know if I need to log the progress here either, because it's like you either have 7 ritual items on your board or you don't, right? It's like, is it really useful to say, oh, well, you won a combat with 6 ritual items? It's like, I think it's pretty clear, like there doesn't need to be a progress value for that kind of one. This one should be easy. We can just copy this over. Just that as you went away, your games were shown in the background. I noticed that each new game was much better than the last, so I'm curious to see what kind of masterpiece will come after Alchemortis. Well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I do think that I'm getting better. I do think I'm getting better at game development over time. So, you know, we will see. But I appreciate that. Thank you. Global plus current, and then damage required. Unlocked by completing alchemizations. Artifact. Yeah, I'm gonna copy this one. So we're getting to the point now where I basically have like the formula for different types of unlocks. So and then we want to get the counter, alchemy completed count, and then this would be alchemy required. Okay. This is going to be the same exact one, so I can actually just copy and paste this whole thing here. It's literally the same thing. Poison maintain required. Okay, so this is basically the coals, so we can copy this one, paste that here. Highest poison reached. This becomes poison status, and then mathf.max. Unlocked by applying 10,000 bleed. So that's going to be the same one as this. I don't really think this unlock condition makes sense for the deep sea pack, but I may actually change that. But we don't need to do that right now. What would your next game be after Alchemortis? Well, I have a couple of ideas. One idea is like a single player extraction shooter, which is not actually a shooter, but is like more of like a necromancer kind of game, like a necromancer RPG kind of game. So you go into like a fantasy world, you wreak a bunch of havoc, you loot a bunch of stuff, you bring it back to your base, you do a bunch of crafting, like the typical extraction shooter kind of progression system, but fully single player, so you're not doing PvP or anything. And then the other idea I had would be actually a 3D game, a lightly 3D game, not like super in-depth, super detailed, but it would be like a Souls-like kind of game. And I know that sounds really complex, and trust me, I know that like a Souls-like game sounds complex. It's like a very, very, very stripped down Souls-like game. Like even the art assets would be relatively simple to do. But we'll see. You know, it's possible that my interests will change by the time Alchemortis is done. It's also possible that maybe, you know, maybe I just want to keep working on Alchemortis for a while, you know? Like, if Alchemortis does really well, and people are asking for more content and, like, not necessarily DLCs, but, like, big content patches, then I may just do that, you know? Okay, I think that one's good. Unlocked by winning a run with at least artifacts required. Yeah, so this is another one where it's just a milestone. I don't need to worry about that. Undead cards. So this one, we'll just copy and paste this. It's fine. Oops. Items acquired. We'll grab the counter. Okay, 3 more to do. Oh, this one doesn't require one, so 2 more to do. Unlocked by applying poison. So that one is basically just the same thing here. Put this here, change it to poison. Poison here. Type of poison status. Poison stacks required. And then the skeleton. Unlocked by winning a run at difficulty 4. All right, well, there we go. That one doesn't need a progress value either. All right, let's take a look and make sure that everything looks good. I'm not going to test everything. Like if there's a bug with like how the unlock condition is being displayed, it's like, you know, I'll fix that later. It doesn't I'm not going to spend an hour testing it because it's such a minor thing and I have other things to do. So this will be a good test because I don't have a currently saved run. So 0 out of 1,000 damage dealt, 0 out of 25 alchemizations, 0 out of 75 alchemizations completed. Highest poison reached 0. Okay. 0 out of 50 items upgraded to tier 5. 0 out of 5 runs 1. So now let me do this. So I want to make sure that at least this condition disappears when it's unlocked. So let's do, let's enable quick unlocks. Oh, quick unlocks is enabled. Okay, so I just need to do a little bit of damage and then I should unlock some stuff. So I put this here. Okay, if I go to my unlocks now, artifacts or item bundles. So that should be unlocked. It says 96 out of 10,000 damage, but I think the unlock condition will pass now when I end the game. Unlocks, item bundles, there we go. Okay, and then the unlock condition has disappeared here. Perfect. All right, we are good. Call the DLC Alchemortis. That's a good one. That's a good one. Welcome, Ever Varying Life. Rhythm game about raising the dead to the beat of Thriller. Well, that is an interesting idea. I don't like rhythm games, though. Hello, Heskret. Which IDE are you using? VS Code. My favorite IDE of all time. I mean, I guess that's true. It seems kind of weird to have like a favorite IDE. I would say at VS Code, I'm very comfortable with VS Code, and I like how you can basically do anything in VS Code. And funnily enough, like I know it's an Electron app and everything, but it feels very lightweight compared to other IDEs, which is quite an accomplishment, I would say. Like if I load up Visual Studio, it just feels like so heavy and sluggish. If I open up Rider feels pretty snappy, but there's something about it that still feels very clunky. VS Code feels very like light for some reason. Anyway, let's make an artifact. Let's make an artifact, but first I need to merge. I did that on a different branch, so I need to merge these into master here. Rebase and merge. Delete the branch. I'll close Alchemortis just because I don't trust Godot when it's switching branches. Get fetch prune. Sweet. Wouldn't that just be Rift of the Necrodancer or something like that? Yeah. Koromon again. I don't know. I wish I knew the lore behind like Sonya coming into the stream and saying Koromon and then saying nothing else. But always good to have you. Welcome. My favorite thing in JetBrains IDEs is when I right click on something, I get a loading spinner for a moment before the dropdown appears. I like Visual Studio over VS Code simply because I like having buttons over command palettes. Plus, I guess I grew up on it. Yeah. I mean, it's like, you know, it's not really, it's a tool, right? Like whatever tool you are most comfortable with, that is the most important feature of a tool is how productive are you with it compared to other tools. That's my opinion anyway. Like, I don't really think there's a way of like saying something is objectively better than another thing in terms of the tooling, because like everyone has a different workflow, everyone has different needs, and the tools that are available are going to suit those workflows and needs differently, right? So my opinion is that whatever tools make you the most productive are the ones that you should use. Not, yeah. All right, so let's do an artifact. So I've got this one. Items can be upgraded beyond the tier 5 cap. I have this written twice, I guess. When critical chance exceeds 100%, there's an additional chance to crit using the last crit value as the new base. I might actually rework critical chance stuff. Maybe not. I was almost thinking about making like any crit chance above 100%. I was almost thinking about making this like a default feature. Like if you get a crit chance above 100%, it just has a chance to like do a double crit. So, you know, you just take, you know, subtract 100% from it, or 1 in this case, the crit chance, and then whatever crit chance is left over, you roll that number. And then if it passes, you do like a multiplier twice. And if it doesn't pass, then you just fall back to the guaranteed multiplier crit. You know what I mean? Randomly venting, but currently in an artistic rut, and I have a comic I want to be working on. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Notepad is the best IDE. Yeah, I definitely feel that sometimes Everbearing Life. I go pretty long stretches of time in Alchemortis where I don't feel that artistically inspired, and then I do get like brief moments of inspiration which I have to capitalize on, otherwise it will go away. Notepad is the best IDE. I really like the extraction shooter idea. Something like Escape from Duckov would be nice. Yeah, I was like, I don't know if there's a whole lot of, first of all, there's not a whole lot of single player extraction shooters, and it's like, is there a way, like the fun part of extraction shooters is like the adrenaline and the rush that comes from the threat of losing your items. And I wonder if you could create that same sensation in a player, but just in like a PV, like it's almost like playing, like if you ever played like action RPGs like Path of Exile or whatever, it's almost like playing a hardcore mode on that, right? Which is that, you know, the boss fights become more tense because if you die, you lose all of your progress, right? So obviously a single player game like wouldn't be that punishing, but yeah, could you give the player that feeling, that adrenaline of like, oh man, I barely survived. I almost lost all the stuff that I looted. And also, could you do it with a more interesting theme, like high fantasy or something, right? Where you're using swords and bows and magic and whatnot. Will this game make 100K at least? I mean, I hope it makes at least 100K. I have no idea how it will do. Like, the marketing effort that I've got planned has not started yet, and so I think I'll have a better idea, like, depending on like how the wish lists come in and everything. Next Fest is still an option too. I have not submitted the game to a Next Fest yet, so whenever that happens, I hope that would be a pretty decent wish list bump. The Steam page, like, this is why the Steam page has been updated with like good capsule art, and the trailer is going to come soon as well. The new trailer is in progress, so hopefully the Steam page becomes a lot more intriguing, and then the other marketing efforts that I'll be doing will hopefully drive up the wishlist count, as well as whatever Next Fest I end up entering. So we'll see. I'll have a better idea of how the game is going to do when the wish lists, when the marketing effort starts for real. Microsoft WordPad is the best IDE. You should definitely start doing some marketing. Your game visually looks very interesting. Yeah, that's coming up very soon. Very soon. Looks very polished, more than a majority of indie games on Steam. Yeah, I've heard like Chris Zukowski, who everyone knows, he said if players play your demo, I forgot how long he said, but if you've got like a median play time on your demo of like 1 or 2 hours, like that's gold. Like that's basically like my impression was, I could be misquoting him, but my impression was that that's like the single best indicator of how your game is going to do, aside from like maybe wish lists, is like, what is the median play time of your demo? And in the playtests versions that I've been doing, as unpolished and as unrefined as they are, many of you have been putting in like 5, 6, 10 hours into the playtest, playing run after run after run, and it's like, okay, that makes me feel pretty good, because it's like there's obviously something about Alchemortis that is very compelling and very fun. Obviously, that feeling of like, oh, I want to try a different build is like being created in the player. And so like, I think like the part of the problem, the difficulty of marketing this game is that it's hard to explain the game. Like the game is all about the strategy and like planning your builds and stuff. And so like trying to explain like what the game even is in like marketing is really hard to do. So a large part of the strategy is going to be to try to get the demo into the hands of as many people as possible. And of course, get certain influencers and streamers to like pick up the demo and play it for their audience. I think that's going to be the primary way that wish lists and interest are going to be generated. I'm skeptical about how well like YouTube shorts and like Reddit posts are going to do on TikToks and whatnot. So I think the main strategy is going to be try to get some big name influencer streamer people to play it, and then also get the game into the Next Fest so that people who are just browsing Steam can like try it and play it. So I think that's the core. That's kind of like the core of the strategy for marketing, and we'll see how it goes. Pull out a did I pull out a tangy? I don't know what that means. There's the game called Below the Stone. It's a mining extraction game. You go into the mines, collect loot. It has combat. You die. You lose all of your items. Oh, interesting. Is it fun? Have you played it? I use Zed for Rust. It's absolutely fantastic, but VS Code for everything else. I tried to use Zed, but I think Zed still uses the Omnisharp, C#, like, I don't know what you would call it, like language server. And the problem with Omnisharp is like, it's incredibly slow. Like, and this was a problem that I had in VS Code too before Microsoft released the new C# dev kit. The C# dev kit is like extremely fast on VS Code now. It's like, regardless of the project size, it's like it gets you your autocomplete very quickly. But Omnisharp was incredibly slow. And I think the problem with Zed is that it uses that for the C# integration. And it's like, I can't be waiting 1.5 seconds for like my IntelliSense to complete. You know what I mean? One thing in terms of visual feedback I've seen is that when your characters attack, it's kind of hard to see their weapons, and there's a lot of space between the two fighting characters. Are you a TikToker now? I might be, yeah. There's a hit game called Tangy 3D. Gotcha. I like it. It's pretty good. Top-down pixel art game. It's still in early access, though. Okay, interesting. Yeah. It's a little early to be thinking about my next game for sure, but I have some ideas of things that I'd like to do. Allows legendaries to be re-legendarized and gain another legendary ability. That's an interesting one. Health upgrades no longer increase health and instead apply damage buff. This one's not relevant anymore. Let's just do this one. Items can be upgraded beyond the tier 5 cap. This one should be relatively easy to do. Now we gotta figure out a theme for this. Tang is a tower defense game made by another streamer that went kind of viral. Oh, is that Cakes? Gotcha. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think part of the reason he went viral is because he got a takedown notice, right? I saw a little bit of that kerfuffle. I don't know what to call this item. What should we do? So I've already got a hammer. So we could talk about like forge related things. Anvils, hammers, calipers. Maybe calipers would be a good idea. Let's see. I wonder if this would work. This is gonna look pretty terrible to start, but that's okay. Actually, that doesn't look terrible. This looks a little bit weird. I think, yeah, do something like that. There we go. Did I get it properly spaced? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh my gosh, it's perfect. Okay, so I need to just... I'm just going to do some very rough shading here for a second. Not sure. That's probably okay. I'll figure it out in a second here. Okay. I wonder if I should change the color of the handles. Let's see. Add some more visual variety, you know? I may just do a break there and then something like this. Yeah, that'll work. And then I can do something like this. Maybe I'll do this as well. Yeah. I think it looks okay. It's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect. I mean, I think I would probably, yeah, maybe that's just what needed to happen there. Just remove that one pixel. Yeah. Now here, I kind of want to create a stronger break here. I think it looks okay. Trying to decide if I want to make this thicker. Yeah, I think that looks fine. The takedown notice was long after it went viral. Oh, gotcha. How about an anvil? I already have so many anvils in the game. So I think the calipers work. I think he did good because he reached out to a lot of people and he streams a lot of... His streams had a lot of character and entertainment. As well as seeing his child was compelling to me when he was working hard to feed. Interesting. An alchemy plated special metal type of anvil. think the video where he reacted to the number of sold copies went viral. Oh, I should have, actually, it's probably fine. I can do that. Then let me do, I have an artifact creation tool. Calipers. All right, so that should have created the artifact here. Okay. Items can be tier cap is increased by 1, something like that. We will do increase item tier cap by 1. I don't think I need to do anything here. Get max tier. This would be default max tier plus artifact manager dot get artifact count by ID. Artifact ID calipers. Any day now. You can build any day now. There we go. Okay, so let's try this then. Add artifact calipers. So I'm probably going to rename this. Maybe give it a more interesting name. But if I do set tier 6, huh? Oh, let's just do add item skeleton warrior 6. There we go. Tier 6. What happens if I do add item skeleton warrior 10? It gets capped at 6. Okay, that's what I figured. Cool. All right, let's just make sure that it works. What is my upgrade event? Card upgrade is 7. So let's do generate test map with 7. Add item, add artifact calipers. Add artifact calipers. I have a lead ingot here, so this should increase. This should make the legendary tier 6 as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it does. Okay, perfect. And then add item skeleton warrior 5. No. So this is tier 5. I should be able to throw it to the upgrade event here. Sweet. So that's tier 6. Then if I go to another upgrade event, it should tell me that it's wrong. This item is at max tier and cannot be upgraded. Perfect. All right. Calipers are implemented. That didn't take too long. What did that take? Like 20 minutes? Just crying. I'm back. Are you using export var for those descriptions, or is that just how those nodes work? It's a custom resource. So the custom resource is basically just a collection of data that you can export out of the resource. And just like, yeah, just put the text in there. What is special about the calipers? Are they enchanted or perhaps well-plated? Idea works with this as well. Whatever you want it to be. I mean, I might give it a different name to make it more interesting, to imply that there's something there. But yeah. Are you using export var? Oh, I already answered that. Okay. All right, then. That's going to be it for the stream for today and probably for the weekend, but I'll stream tomorrow if I am able to. But yeah, the playtest, I'm going to shadow drop the playtest relatively soon. So wishlist Alchemortis if you're interested. You can also join the Patreon. Again, the playtest will be available to Patreon members for 1 week first, and then it will be available to everyone else afterwards. So if you want to get early access to the playtest, head on over to the Patreon, subscribe to one of the tiers. Otherwise, you can wait until the public playtest is available. Yeah, you can join the Discord. I'll be posting announcements in the Discord and also through the email list about when the playtest is live. So yeah, very much appreciate your support. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. Hope you all have a great weekend, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye-bye for now.